Welcome to Gator Report, presented by Dunkin' Donuts, where we talk everything Gators football. I'm Chris Lewis. I'm your host. I'm joined today by Coach Goodspeed. Welcome.
Thanks, Chris. It's good to see you. Fun evening last night, and
Yes,
I really like what your thoughts with this of having a little podcast and really showing what the Land O'Lakes football program can be. I think we're gonna have some fun with it.
I hope so. Well, I certainly appreciate your time. I know how busy a high school coach is, so there's a lot of optimism around this team right now, especially after the district championship last year. Great buzz. There was a great article this past Wednesday in the Laker about an event that you held, and Women in Blue, I believe. Yes. And in case people didn't get a chance to attend or read the article, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Women in Blue, what I envisioned, I actually took it from what we did with the Buccaneers, the Women of Red, where they have you at the stadium and they have stations for the women to come through, the season ticket holders, and kind of learn a little bit more about football. I thought it'd be a great idea for our community to be able to come together and just learn basic football. I know everybody has a different knowledge level, but what I kind of envision is something more that these moms and aunts and caretakers just can have a connection with their son and learn football and just realize that we're just not running into each other out there and get a little more feel for the game, but not just a broad sense, but actually teach them how plays are called, what they look like, what we're trying to do with the defense. My feeling is their time is limited with their kids now, and that's just one more connection that they can make, and they can watch a Saturday game or the NFL game, whatever they pick.
Yeah.
And then when they sit in the stands and they watch the game and they see their son out there and he says, "Wow, I made a tackle," or I play tackle. Well, what does that mean? Did you tackle somebody? No, I'm blocking. So there's little funny things that the naming of football is kind of weird.
Sure.
But it just kind of gives that extra connection.
Yes.
And they were, I thought it was a really good event. We had about 60, 65 ladies there. It was a fun event. All the coaches got to speak a little bit. They had great questions. And then I took them through a drill that we do with the boys called clap drill. It's trying to get the cadence that we use so they could experience it. And we tried to get them to jump off sides a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it was real fun. We got a lot of positive feedback. And my hope is that over time we can grow it and get more ladies in our community out there just to get more familiar with football.
Great. Yeah, I heard about the cadence. That made it back to my house. Evidently, that was a big hit.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be, possibly an annual event.
Yeah, that's what we like to make it. Especially now, when I first moved to Land O'Lakes a long time ago, I felt a sense of community here when we came to the games. Coach Benedetto ran the program. I was playing with the Bucks at the time, and I'd stand on the sidelines and just saw that community atmosphere. And that's what I really want to bring back. I think over the years it's lost that. And so the more we can get out as coaches and as the players get into the community and interact with everybody, I think that can kind of grow with as many transplants that we have here in Land O'Lakes now. I'm from a small town originally, and football was the thing Friday nights.
Sure.
So I want to take that to everybody. Yep. and make it, even if you don't have a son playing in football or a daughter on the cheerleader or a child in the band, it's the place to be on Friday nights.
Absolutely.
So part of being that is just being out in the community and doing fun events like that.
I agree, and it's interesting that you said John Benedetto, because I believe the district championship was last won by Land O'Lakes 15 years ago was with John. So you're on the right track from a performance standpoint already. And you mentioned the Bucks. I think many people probably know that you were part of Tony Dungy's 2003 Super Bowl championship team.
That was Gruden, yeah. That was a year after.
I'm sorry, Gruden. Yeah. But you also played with CFL for a number of years, a number of teams, and I believe even the XFL. Is that correct?
Yeah, the original XFL. It had 3 versions since then, but the original, which a lot of amazing things came out of that league, believe it or not, for football. The camera that floats overhead came from that league. Some of the systems they still use now to scout. So when we first saw it, we were all confused and amazed by it, and
Right.
then now it's common. So
Right.
That had a very good purpose for football.
Well,
but yeah,
having all that the different league experience and your professional playing career, how has that kind of shaped you in your coaching style?
well, to me, I had the opportunity to play with a lot of great coaches in different styles of coaching. I was very fortunate to be able to play under Bob Wiley. I think a phenomenal O-line coach. And then he kind of shaped it because you get in this mindset that you see these coaches that are just yelling and losing their minds on the sidelines and all that. But there's more to it. It's about a relationship and seeing how, specifically with the offensive line, but it covers all the positions. How the kids' bodies move, how they can react to certain things. And what he taught me the most was you gotta put a player in a position to be successful, and that's
Sure.
by putting tools in his toolbox. All right, this guy may move a certain way, this guy may move something different, where one way would be good for him but not the other. So you got to figure out what works best for them, and that's how you can build success at each position. Whether it's not like we have free agency and go pick up, call somebody's agent and bring them in. No, we have the kids that we have, so we have to be able to build them. So that really shaped what my mind is, and he would never put, you weren't just a player to him, you meant something, you were a human being. And I think we lose focus of that sometimes in the NFL because it's such a big business. But when you take that down through the levels, those relationships that you build, trust, making it fun. I mean, it's something I tell the kids all the time in the locker room. Hey, football's fun. Let's not forget that. We're out
Sure.
here working. It's hard work, but let's have fun. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have so many Friday nights.
Absolutely.
So that's really what has shaped it. And football is it's a fleeting sport. You only get so many snaps. You never know when your last one is between injury and maybe getting outplayed by somebody. So I want them to cherish those moments and kind of really enjoy what's out there. So that's really how the NFL kind of shaped where I was coming from, and that's what I want to take back to the boys.
Excellent. Well, one more question before we get into last night's game. I know you're on year 2, and focuses on the varsity team, but the football program in general. We have I think there were 90-something kids that I saw out there at some point during the preseason. A football program is more than just the varsity team. Some programs even have a freshman team, a JV team.
Yep.
What do you see in the future for Land O'Lakes? Where are we at in terms of a football program?
So as a staff, we talk about that often, how we're going to manage the JV team. So what we want to do currently is, since, like you said, we're on year 2, what I want to make sure is the young guys are getting the same exact coaching the varsity guys are going through. So we bring them all together, so we have the varsity coaches coaching them. That way it kind of accelerates their learning a little bit. And then it's always a challenge to find the correct coach, especially here in Pasco. It's probably Florida-wide. It's not just a Pasco problem. But so when I hire coaches, I look for ones that kind of fit my mindset. And then how many are those out there? There's not a lot. And you have your older coaches, your middle-aged coaches, and your young coaches. So my goal for the program is to develop some coaches that are on the younger side, so they see why we run the program as a varsity staff, and then make them learn how we do things, and then that'll kind of grow us all together. Kind of the saying is, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Sure.
Then they can go down and coach the JV and kind of build in what we've already coached the coaches to do. So it's important for us right now as a second-year program to make sure that the kids that are going to be on the JV team are starting to be fed in, because I really don't want them to play JV. I mean, that's not the goal. The goal is to get them on Friday nights, get their experience on Thursdays, and then grow into that Friday, because that's where I want them playing.
For sure. So last night, the preseason classic, we obviously won, and that's a great thing. Every time you take the field, you want to win, but it's preseason, so I'm sure you had some other expectations and goals for the first game.
For the preseason, a lot of coaches that take it different ways. to me, it's a chance to see what your base stuff can do. It's a chance to say, hey, this is how we've evaluated this group of guys. Do we make a mistake, right? We're only playing against the Gators right now, a team that we'll never face during the season. So that's the only chance we have to really take a look at them. And so when I told the boys before we went out to the game, I said, show us what you can do. Maybe we made a mistake and we need somebody else that'll take that position. So I just want them to go out there, run around, show me their enthusiasm, show me their effort, show the techniques that we've been teaching, and then get after somebody else. There wasn't anything game plan, there wasn't anything fancy. It was just base football. See what we can do.
Sure.
And there were some things that we have to move around on there. Other things really shine for us. It's also a time for us to experiment with a couple plays that we want to try new that maybe we haven't done in the past. I think when you get that film, you get a little instant feedback and say, hey, this is what we can do better. This is what we need to stay with. So overall, it was a great evening for us. I mean, to be able to go out and execute on a lot of things and just see the passion and the boys flying around, that's what made me excited.
Yeah, and it was a great turnout for the first game of the season. The stands were packed.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much film that you've gotten to see since last night, but
so as a coach, right? Boom! As soon as that film's up, I'm watching. It's always up till about 3 o'clock in the morning. Evaluate. That's just what I do. My wife knows right away that it's football season when she sees my office light on, and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to bed, and I'll see you in the morning at some time. Yeah, because I mean that's just it's a weird thing, but it's fun for me to sit in the office and flip on the music and just start watching and evaluating.
Well, with that being said, then you probably know the stats a little better than I do. But just by my recollection, the first half we had a tremendous amount of turnovers throughout the game, but certainly in the first half, and they all fell in Gators' favor.
Yes.
And so,
that's it's funny you say that because we want the defense to be flying around and creating those turnovers. I think that's somewhere we could have improved on last season, and they went after and got it done. I have Dean Malarkey had a forced fumble. Brandon Austin recovered it. And the old adage in football, if you're flying around, good things happen.
Yeah.
Right. It's and it showed there. We had a forced fumble on the kickoff for a touchdown. Dean Malarkey had a pick. Brandon Austin had a pick six. Mason Clark had a pick. Mason Clark had a forced fumble and recovery. Yeah. That's a good night.
Yeah.
I had a coach tell me one time that if you have 2, you're in it, and 3, we win it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's
defense
a great thing.
Yeah, it is, right? So because the defense sometimes feels like, well, we got to wait out for the offense to do something.
Right.
Well, they were a defense, and they said, hey, well, we can take care of the game. 2, we're in it. 3, we win it. So that kind of always stuck with me. So defensively, I think they did a great job flying around, playing together.
Is that something that you guys worked on during the off season? Is that something that the coaches put some emphasis on in practice?
I mean, not the basic. We're hunting for turnover, but if you're flying around and using the techniques right, and you're getting to where you need to be, good things happen.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what showed. So I was really happy with that.
Well, let's talk about the negative side of the defense. We saw quite a few penalties in that first half.
Yeah.
So is that something that you guys are going to work on?
Well, absolutely. I mean, very indicative of a preseason game, penalties, because the bullets aren't flying as much in practice as when you have that intensity, the motor running. So we had a few offsides, few too many offsides for defense. We had some snap count issues on offense. Obviously, they'll be addressed, easy, correctable things. I mean, if that's what we have to worry about, I mean, that can be fixed. So that's a good sign. But what I did like was it kind of got a little chippy in there a little bit. To show growth in a program, you see them walking away and knowing that, hey, I got to play on the next play. We talk about flushing it down and moving on.
I heard that in the stands as well about the maturity, the difference between last year and this year of walking away from that stuff.
And that's a hard skill when you're a young man and you're flying around, you're revved up, and something happens, you want to go. But it tells me that the team is maturing and they see where we can go. I mean, I think Victory Christian had a kid ejected, and I think that's 6 games.
Wow.
And he was a senior, so that's tough. Now, I don't know if that is the case or not. I don't know if that works for preseason, but the fact that we turned around and walked away and said, hey, we're ready for the next football play.
Yep.
And we're going to come after you between the whistles. That's what I like to see, because that's real football.
Absolutely. Well, we saw a lot of production from the captains and Mason Clark and all the usual suspects that we come to expect from this team. I'm curious if, after watching the film, if there were some flashes from some other players that maybe you didn't expect.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I expected big things from them, because I think they've been working their tails off. But I was really happy with our tackles. I thought we got good play out of the tackles. Cole Greenwell and Isaiah Bigby, they've really stepped up. Cole's been just working his behind off to get over to left tackle. And I wasn't sure. Give credit to Victory Christian. I thought they were a good football team. Watching the film over the past couple seasons that we got from them, I said, we're going to be able to hold up. We're going to be able to protect on them. We had really good pass protection for a preseason game, for a regular game for that matter. And I thought that really came from the tackles. That was a really good thing. Defensively, I thought Chris Cruz and Jake Mason played really good at ends, and it's something last season didn't really have a huge production off the defensive line wise, as far as getting pressure to the quarterback. And I thought Chris Cruz and Jake Mason really got upfield and got after the quarterback. So those are the standouts for me up front. Obviously BA flying around, but we knew that was going to happen. Mason Clark making his presence felt both on offense and defense.
Absolutely.
was really nice. Cody Gwynn, he put together some nice runs. We got to help him out a little more up front. We'll get that cleaned up, but I think Cody's poised to have a great year this year. BA as well. Mason, I mean, it's really exciting, because every year it's a new football team and you don't know what you're going to have.
Right.
So until you put it out there and see what you got and see them fly around and move, that's the exciting part of it.
Absolutely. Well, I certainly appreciate your time today.
No, this
very
is great.
informative.
I love it.
Next week we're away at River Ridge, 7:30. So we're hoping that Gator Nation shows up in force for this away game.
Absolutely, we love it. We love looking up at the stands and seeing the student section up there, all blacked out. That's a great experience. We have a couple things we're going to do for them coming up to make it more exciting. We want them to have that's their Friday night too, so we want them to it to be special for them. So
Absolutely.
we loved having them out there, and we hope they start traveling well with us.
Well, that's all I've got for you tonight. Again,
Yeah.
thanks for your time, and go.